Hey guys, welcome to our team call. Tonight is a special night because we have a guest speaker teacher. My girl Caroline Foster is here, and so really excited for her to bring our training tonight all about the topic of perseverance. So just a quick little something about Caroline. She is a wife and mom from Nashville, Tennessee. She is a one-star diamond coach and has been working the business for 3 years. She works her business in little pockets of time throughout the day as she also works full-time. So all you full-time people out there, I'm sure you guys can relate to her. But wait for it. Aside from her family and work, she also leads a women's small group and high school group, and serving girls and women is basically her happy place. So I'm going to let her take it away. I hope you guys are ready and take out some notes. This is a very heart topic, and I'm really excited about that. So take it away, sister.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be on with you guys tonight. Like Karen said, I'm Caroline Foster, and I run an Instagram called Fit for His Glory, or blog. I've been doing this business for 3 years now, which is kind of crazy. It has flown by. In the last year, became a mom, and so I feel like I have this new little latch under my belt of working the business and trying to juggle mommyhood. But this business has been such a gift to me and such a gift to my family. And so I'm excited tonight to talk about something that I believe if I could gift any coach with this, it would just be the one gift I would give them, and that is perseverance. I tell every new coach that I bring on that, I basically try to talk them out of doing this at first, because I'm like, hey, look, this is going to require a lot of work. You need to commit a year. You're going to have humps in the road. You're going to have days when you want to quit, when you want to say, this is not for me. I'm not cool enough. I'm not this enough. You're going to have all those moments, because Satan wants you to give up and throw in the towel. But perseverance is so important. I know that most of you guys are believers, because I know Karen and her team. And, being a Christian, obviously, perseverance is vital to our faith. If every time we sinned, we just threw in the towel, we would get nowhere. We would be like, all right, done every day, right? But we have to have perseverance in our faith, because we know that the hard things and the times where we're struggling, those things are really what ultimately makes us better. And they're, defining moments. They're refining moments. There are moments that God uses to make us more like Him. And so when I think about my business, and I think about my business in that sense, and I think about, okay, these are hard things that I'm going through in my business, are tough, but they're going to make me a better, coach, a better upline. They're going to make me a better manager. And so those are things that it kind of correlate in with our walks with Jesus and making us better, as a servant of His. And so a couple weeks ago, had a really amazing dinner, actually, with Michelle Myers, who most of you guys should know, because she's the leader of Team Iron. So she's our coach. And I had a dinner with her. She was here in Nashville for a conference she was going to. And another girl was there. Her name is Erin Sanders. I almost blanked for a second. Her name's Erin Sanders. And if you check her out on Instagram, her name's Fit Rocker Chick. I like to always make connections for people, so if you guys hear me doing that. But her name's Fit Rocker Chick, and she was elite coach this year. She's I think 5-time elite coach. So she's kind of an OG in the business, but she's friends with Michelle, and we were talking, and she was saying that she agreed with me. She was saying, perseverance is the one thing that she would love to give every new coach who came on. And the fact of the matter is that the reason that it's so important is that you're going to have humps in this business. You're going to have days when you're like, okay, I feel like these conversations are going nowhere. I feel like I'm getting a lot of no's. I feel like I'm frustrated. I mean, I've been in this business now, y'all, for 3 years, and it is so easy for me to be like, okay, maybe this just is not for me. I see these other coaches who put their financial statements out for everyone to see, and it's like, man, what am I doing wrong? How come I haven't been able to quit my full-time job yet? Or how come I'm not making that much money? Or how come I'm not getting that many people to my challenge groups? But the reality is that when I think about where I am in the business, I'm a one-star diamond coach. That means I have one diamond under me. And only 1.8% of coaches ever make it to where I am. That's kind of staggering, because I don't even feel like I'm that successful yet. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm just starting in so many ways, or I'm starting to just now get traction. But that goes to show that so many people in this business give up. So many people in this business don't push through. So many people in this business like just say, okay, I think I'm just going to be a discount coach, or I think maybe I'll just be a hobby coach. And those things are not bad. Don't get me wrong if that's what you want to do. But if you really want to work this business, don't settle. Don't just lean back and say to yourself, okay, well, this is really hard. And so I'm just going to be like, I'm okay with this for now. I'm okay with being a hobby coach. I'm okay with discount coach. If your dream and you know that the Lord is calling you to do this, like do it with all your heart, Like Romans 12:12 says, be patient in affliction. There's going to be those moments in your life, whether it's you guys know in our fitness journeys, like there's going to be those moments when we want to give up, when it's like, man, like, why can't I get this weight off, or, whatever, or how come I can't lift that many pounds or whatever. We do the same things in our fitness journeys as we do in our businesses. And that's the thing I see over and over and over again with new coaches. So I want to encourage you guys, like, just to really start thinking about, like, how can you persevere through that? I always tell new coaches when I'm bringing them on, I'm like, I told you guys, I always try to kind of talk them out of it first, like tell them how hard it really is going to be. Because let's be real, it's going to be really hard, and it is really hard. There's so many amazing, amazing moments, but there's hard moments too. And there's moments that you want to give up. But the thing is, and Emily Copeland told me this one time, she said, in the beginning of your business, you're going to be working a lot for a little. So, you're working, you think about, oh, man, how many hours am I putting into this? And it's like 5 cents an hour. And you're like, that's really encouraging. But then you, like 3-4 years in, or wherever, for some people 2 years or a year or a couple months in, just however your business goes, you realize, wow, like I'm really only having to put in an hour or two a day, and I'm seeing this pay off. And so I think sometimes we get so stuck at that hard place that we just think, okay, well, this isn't really going to pay off. Or this is just too hard, and we don't want to push it through and see it through. And like I said, that's why so many coaches get stuck at Emerald or whatever, because they don't have the perseverance and the focus to keep pushing through. I also have to remind myself constantly that this is a season, and it's not always going to be that way. So even though I feel like in the beginning that I'm working a ton for a little, I have to remind myself, like, this is a season. It's kind of like a house. You don't just build a house, right? Like you build the foundation, and you want to build a solid house. And so one of the things I love about Michelle is that she always talks about being a snail in the business, and how she's been in it for so long, but she's done it at such a steady pace. And I think, like, sometimes we get so focused on comparing ourselves to the person who maybe did it super fast, and that's okay. There's people in the business that I'm like, how did they do that? I'll be going to dinner with Michelle, and I'm like, how did so-and-so get there? Like, I just want to know her secret. But the thing is nobody has a secret. Everybody just shows up and is consistent. And, for some people it happens quicker than others, and that's just part of their story. But I love that Michelle talks about doing this at a snail pace, because the people who are going to be successful in this business are the people who are consistent. They show up. They're making the invitations. They're asking the questions. They're like, yeah, it may take you a little longer to get there, but you're going to get there. You're going to have success because, like, you're putting in the time, you're putting in the attention, you're showing up, and you're being consistent. That's the only thing that makes me different. Like, that's the only thing. Like, if I could, I always tell Patrice this, I'm like, I wish you could have met some of my coaches earlier in the business. Like, because it's funny because, Patrice is one of my top coaches on my team. She's my diamond coach, and she's killing it, and she's doing so amazing. And it's so funny because, when she came in, I've been in the business a year and a half or even longer at that point. And there's been so many amazing people that I had brought to Summit and I had brought to events. And, I thought this person is going to kill it. Like, they're on fire, but then they gave up. And I think about those people a lot when I'm at Summit or when I'm at big events. And I think, man, like, where did I go wrong as a coach? But I have to remember that I didn't. Like, they just gave up. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, like, some of them, maybe life circumstances, maybe they just realized it wasn't for them. I'm not downplaying that. I super duper respect that. But I also do think, like, maybe if they would have just had a little more perseverance, maybe if they would have just not given up. And so I think, people ask me, well, how do I get perseverance? Well, first off, you pray for it. You ask the Lord for it. I am always getting message, probably one of the number one messages I get from people. And because I am a very, I run a blog and Instagram called Fit for His Glory. So it's all about faith. In fact, it's probably sometimes more heavier on faith than fitness, but I'm constantly getting questions about how are you disciplined in your fitness? Or how do you stay so disciplined in your workouts? And I'm like, honestly, do you want to know the real answer? I asked God for it. I prayed every morning, Lord, I need discipline. Help me to stay on track with my eating. Help me to make wise choices. Same thing happens for our business. Before we even start our power hour, before we even start working on our stuff for the day, asking the Lord, Lord, there's probably going to be things in my business today that frustrate me. And there's probably going to be things that I wish were different. And I may not want to hear that no, or I may think maybe I should give up. But Lord, would you just help me to have perseverance? Because I know that you're using this to make me better. And it's so cool because people, Michelle, Cross Train Couture, they have a t-shirt I had on earlier. It says, "Fitness is my witness." Your business is your witness too, because people are watching you. And Lord, let this be an opportunity for someone to see you through my business. And let this be an opportunity for me to grow in my walk with you through my business. I think in every other area of our life, think about your kids. They're watching you. They're watching you and they're thinking, man, my mom, she's awesome. Or, maybe your husband or maybe your best friend, whoever it is in your life, your nieces, your nephews, they're watching you and they're like, man, my mom, she's doing this business in these little nuggets of time. And, she does this on top of working full time, or my mom does this on top of taking care of our house and our family. And she's just awesome. That's what they think in their head. And so for them to see you persevere through those hard times and those things in your business, they're going to be frustrating to you. That is a witness in itself. And that is just so cool for them to get to see that you're passing on that important legacy. Because this topic is important no matter if you own your own business or if you don't. I think one of the most defining moments in my business, I remember, and me and my other coaches, or some of my other coaches, they'll come over in the morning sometimes and we'll work out together. And we were talking one day about how many times we've stood in the shower and just been washing our hair and thought, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this business isn't for me. This is tough, trying to pull late nights, trying to, get up early. It's not always easy, but we know at the end of the day that it brings us so much happiness and joy serving other people. But I think one of the defining moments in my business for me was, I remember, and for me, something that's always been my why has been, wanting to be able to stay home with my daughter at some point. And, here I am, like I said to you guys earlier, 3 years in, and sometimes I get frustrated that it hasn't happened yet. Or that, I thought that, my timing was right, okay, God, I thought we talked about this. I was supposed to have the baby and then I wasn't going to go back to work after maternity leave. Okay, when are you going to hold up your end of the deal? But it's been so cool because I remember the moment of kind of realizing, okay, Caroline, you're going to have to go back to work. And there was just a lot of things with my husband's job that weren't lining up for me to be able to quit yet. And my Beachbody business just honestly wasn't where it needed to be in order for me to completely leave my full-time job. And I remember just thinking about it one day and just because I was struggling a lot, honestly, to be real with you, with contentment. Because I think contentment and that perseverance go in hand a lot, right? Being content with where he has you and persevering, knowing that there is going to be a greater reward. And so I remember just that defining moment of thinking, I have to go back to work and why do I have to do this? But realizing that, okay, this is for something greater and there's for a greater good here. And ever since then, so after that moment of kind of finally, first time, honestly, since I had my daughter, of being all right, God, I'm content with where you have me. I'm okay with this. It is what it is. You've got me here for a reason. So I'm going to pour out and I'm going to serve and I'm going to use it for you. And it has been so cool, y'all, because the floodgates have just been, it's been crazy in my challenge groups how many women are working full time. And if I wasn't doing that right now, I couldn't relate to them. And so that just goes to show that for whatever reason, I'm in this moment for a reason, and that God's calling me to persevere through it, so that I can see that play out, And so it's been cool to say, okay, let me use my story and right now where God has me. And so when we think about perseverance, I think the kind of main points that I wanted to hit on tonight were just remembering that perseverance is vital to you growing as a business leader. And so if you're going to be a great coach, if you're going to be a great business leader, if you're going to be a great leader with your personal team and with, Team Beachbody in general, perseverance is going to help you get to where you need to be. Because here's the thing. If you started your business and, 3 months in, you're killing it, you're 1-star diamond, you're kind of climbing the ladder, and you get to where you want to be in 2 years flat, you're like up there, you're loving it. First of all, you're still not going to be 100% fulfilled because you're always going to have goals and you're always going to have places you want to go, which is why sometimes you see coaches who are killing it and they're having all the success, but it's still not enough because they're not finding their worth where they need to find it. But second of all, you're going to find that you're all of a sudden unrelatable to people. Like, people want to see your journey. They want to see you grow. And so that perseverance that you're having in this business is vital to your growth as a leader. Because how are you supposed to lead people that you've never walked that journey yourself? It's just like in our challenge groups. Like, a good coach is someone who sees the person one step behind them and grabs their hand and says, hey, I'm going to help you get to where I am. And I'm going to keep progressing and I'm going to keep making myself better. And each time I'm going to bring you right to where I am right now. That's what a good coach does. A good coach doesn't say, oh, I don't know what it's like to, be down there. A good coach brings you along. And so sometimes that's why the people who share their real raw stuff in this business and in their fitness journey are the people who people want to work with, because they're the most relatable and they can relate to their story. And so if I'm sharing the good stuff and the hard stuff in my business with my downline and with my coaches, it's going to help me be a better leader. They're going to want to relate to me more and they're going to want to work with me more because they know that I get it. And so when I'm on calls with coaches, I don't try to pretend like I have it all together, because guess what? I don't. And I'm not going to do to a certain extent, people say, but I'm not going to do the fake it till you make it, like I want to be real and raw with my coaches. Like, girl, I know what that's like. I was there last week. I felt that last week or whatever, I felt that a year ago. I had to get over that hump. So this is going to be vital to your growth as a leader. It's going to be vital to how you're going to lead your team, how you're going to love your team, and it's going to help you serve them better. And then secondly, perseverance is going to help you build a better foundation. It's going to help you build a better foundation in your business. And so that, really focusing on, okay, how can I build systems? How can I build templates? How can I, build things for my team that are going to really help them grow? How can I, figure out the inviting process right now? And that's what perseverance is going to do. It's going to help you build that firm foundation in your business. So number one was vital to your growth as a leader. Number two, building that firm foundation. And number three, perseverance is going to give you greater joy when you reach the goal. And so if you just got to where you wanted to be and you didn't have to put in hard work and you didn't have to put in sweat, yeah, you're going to be grateful. Don't get me wrong. Like, you might be like, oh, this was awesome. But if you could look back and see those defining moments in your business and say, man, like, I had perseverance there. I pushed through there. Man, that was hard. It's going to make you so much more like filled up to know that you got to be a part of those defining things that probably in the end made you a better person, made you a better coach, made you a better mom, made you a better wife, whatever. Because those things are going to define you as a leader in the business. And so if you hear any successful leader, whether it's from Team Beachbody or not, they've had those defining moments. They've had to have perseverance to push through. And that's made them a really, really amazing coach. And so if I can leave you guys with anything today, and I'll take questions after this. But I would just encourage you to press in to say right now, if you're a new coach in this business, to say right now, I am committing a year. Like, when my mind wants to wonder and think, oh, man, maybe this isn't for me, I'm going to say, no, Lord, take that thought away, because I know that you are calling me to persevere. I'm not going to see success overnight in this business. Just like your fitness journey, you have to have perseverance in this business. And if you think you're going to see success overnight, like, you might as well just know right now you're not going to, because you've got to have that perseverance. You've got to put in the sweat. You've got to put in the work. I mean, that's just part of it. This is me and my husband. I'll say this really quick before, oh, I'm sorry, her monitor's going off. I'll say this really quick before I kind of wrap things up. But when me and my husband first got married, we are such dreamers. Like, I'm more of the creative dreamer. He's a little bit more of the implementer. But we're constantly talking about new business ideas and what can we do. And it's always been our goal for us to, like, not work for corporate America, to be honest, just because, like, I grew up, my parents have owned their own business for 29 years. His parents have done their, like, kind of their own businesses. And so we just had that spirit in us that we just wanted to do something. And so when we first got married, about a year in, we opened up our own company, and it was a really awesome idea. See what I'm saying? But it always needed more money. It was like every time we turned around, it was like, hey, you need a little more money. We got to pump into this. You know, it was eating up our time, eating up our time together. It was basically like a subscription service. So we're constantly, like, having to, you know, pack boxes. And I mean, we were doing all the grunt work. And we realized in that, because I was a Beachbody coach at the same time. So I'm sitting here pursuing my Beachbody business, and he's sitting here doing this. It was called Date Crates, but this company that we were pursuing. And we realized in that moment, like, okay, Beachbody is where it's at, because you don't have to pump any money into your business. I mean, to a certain extent, yes, you're buying Shakeology every month, but technically you're really just, like, investing in your own personal health. I don't even really count that as, like, investing in your business, but I guess you could say it kind of is. I mean, yeah, you may run some Facebook ads, you may do a few things, but all in all, you're not having to put money into this business. You don't have to pack any boxes. You don't have to ship anything to anyone. Like, you don't even have to ask for anybody's, you know, address if you don't want to. Like, it's literally all done for you, and literally all you do is pay $15 a month. Like, I don't think that sometimes we realize how, like, great of an opportunity this really is. But I think sometimes it's such a good opportunity that we fail to realize that it's a business. And so we forget that, like, hey, yeah, it's so amazing that all these things are done for us, but, like, we almost fail to be grateful because it just feels like, I don't know, like it's a hobby in some senses. And so I want to remind you of that, because from a person who's tried to start their own business and do their own thing for a little bit, I mean, yes, I still am, but, like, think about small business owners. Like, they persevere, right? Like, you see them trying to start up, you know, their own agencies or their own companies or whatever. And it's like, man, like, they're going for it. That's what you should be doing too, because you are a small business owner. You may work for, you know, could be a coach for Team Beachbody, but Team Beachbody is a part of your business. Like, you're the owner of your business, you're your brand or your blog, your Instagram, whatever. But, like, Beachbody is a part of that. And so as a small business owner, you're going to have to persevere, and you're going to have to push through. And so I have to kind of remind myself of that sometimes. And I thought maybe they would need that too. But because we're not just doing this as a blog or a hobby. We're doing this because we care about people and we want to help people. And this is a business and we want to be able to provide for our families. And so it's going to require perseverance. So I hope this was encouraging to you guys. I'd love to take questions if that's cool.
Yeah, you guys can unmute yourselves as needed, or I can unmute everybody. What is that? Sounds like gunshots.
I know.
Well, I'll let you guys unmute, but I know for me personally, I was so excited when you said that this was the topic that you wanted to share about, because I think that you're so right that if you could give any new coach anything, it is that. And honestly, even coaches who are a year in, because I'm still in this season of perseverance, like all the time. I still get those discouraging thoughts all the time. And it always starts with comparison and discontentment and money. Like, those are the three places always, if I ever get discouraged, it's financially related, it's comparison related. or it's discontentment related. And so just to like, and God totally woke me up out of that last week, which I was grateful for. But so I think that this is something that isn't shared about enough. And I love what you just wrapped up with, the whole, like, this is a business. Like, I think sometimes you're right. It's just so amazing and so fun that it's almost like it breeds entitlement. Like, well, I should blah, blah, blah. And like, I should get blah, blah, blah. And it's still a business. And so, when I went to Summit my first time, that was when my business completely changed. And it's because I went to a workshop all about, it was titled "You Are the CEO." That workshop changed everything for me, because for the first time I actually owned it as this. I'm a CEO. Like, oh my gosh, step up your game, Karen. Like, you have to create systems. You have to create templates. You actually have to put in some work. And I was that person that was putting in tons and tons of hours every day, every week. And now I do pretty much put in about two, maybe 3 a day. It's because after a couple of years, you do have systems that it gets a little bit more, you find a flow. But anyway, I'd love to hear what you guys, even if it was just you want to share that this was encouraging, but any top takeaways from our call tonight?
I mean, I can
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I definitely relate to that comment you made about like being in the shower and like like contemplating your whole life and like why you're doing what you're doing, because I've totally done that before. I'm sorry, I'm like I've been sneezing all day long, so I'm like all congested, but okay. But yeah, I mean, that is definitely encouraging, because I've had very like slow periods, and I haven't been a coach for too long. I think it's been like 6 months-ish. But yeah, like in the beginning, I had like great months, like starting out, and then all of a sudden it would start to like, dwindle and not get as much, responses from people. And it's just literally like crickets, and you're like, what am I doing? And, but yeah, I'm going into like a new season of life now too. So I'm like excited to see how that may change like how I run my business, and like, sharing more of my life and stuff like that. So if I quit now, I will never get to see what could have happened, like down the road. So
yeah. And I think
encouraging.
too, like, you said something, oh goodness, why did it just leave me? You were talking about how like being 6 months in, sometimes like you had like a lot of people maybe in the beginning, and then sometimes it gets kind of hard. And I think that's the thing too, is a lot of times, but the thing that I realized, and I told new coaches this, is like, some people just need to see you do it for a little bit. Like some people are like, okay, I just need to watch her like work this business, and make sure this isn't something that she's just going to give up on. And I get it. Like, there's so many people now selling stuff that it's like, well, what makes me want to invest in you? Like, how am I supposed to know that you're going to be here a year from now? And so I think about that a lot as a coach too. And I think that's, for me, encouraging sometimes, because it's been cool. Like, even since I've had a baby, like my business has grown. Like, those new seasons of life, like when I got married, like all those new seasons, like brought growth in my business. And also just people seeing you like be consistent is so huge. Like, I can't even explain how huge that is. So I mean, hopefully that encourages you as well too.
I will say, Michelle told me this when I first signed up as a coach. She was like, be ready, because often, like, this isn't the same for everybody, but for some it goes like this, and then there's a big hit. And then for some, there's a big lull in the beginning, and then it slowly. But for me, I was definitely my first month in the business, I hit like SC27, like right away. And then it was just like right after.
You're like, I killed my warm market, and now here we go.
I exhausted everything. And so I just remember telling Michelle, like, what do I do? And she's like, are you adding to your network? And I was like, no. And so, but that was one of those moments where I realized, if I really wanted this and I really believed in this, man, I really had to persevere. Psalm 126, sorry we're throwing scripture at all of y'all tonight, but Psalm 126:5 says, those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. And I've wept over this business, like flat out, like weeping just about, like, I see the potential, but sometimes it isn't as fast as you want. And I am kind of in a season where I'm starting to taste a little bit of that. But then God like reins me back in. Like it's God, you know, who was it? Emily, I think Emily Copeland said this and She Works His Way, but God's delaying is often for our protection, which I think in my case, it really is. But so anyway, just want to encourage you that it happens a lot, but there comes a season, I really do believe, where things they become more steady. So just hang in.
Yeah. And I'll say too, even in my business, like I'm finally in a place where like pretty much right now it's like steady growth. And that really has been my business for the most part over the past like year and a half to 2 years. I think that first year people just needed to see if this was something I was going to do. And then like after that, it was a steady increase. And like, you know, over the past year, we've been paying our mortgage with what I make for Beachbody, and like I make a good amount of money. Like I said, it's extra for us right now, but I'll be honest, I probably only put in an hour a day. Just because, right, especially since I had inline, it's just been a lot harder for me to like, you know, pull 3 hours in a day or whatever. So if I'm being completely real, it's probably about an hour to hour and a half a day. So yeah, sometimes you just got to own your season.
You can do that now because you put in more work before her.
Exactly. Yeah.
The more that you can pour into your business and build that foundation, that way if life hits,
totally,
you don't need that same amount of time. You could still sustain it in less time as long as it's still focused. Mm-hmm. But Jess, I know you wanted to say something, so I'm going to give you the mic, girl.
Oh, no, I just wanted to say that this was really timely because Karen and I actually spoke real briefly this morning, and it was not that I was ready to quit. I've only been a coach like June, July, August, September, like 4 or 5 months. But I was just feeling really frustrated and really down this morning, and so it was just really timely, and everything you said made perfect sense. It kind of really hit home. And kind of to piggyback what Karen said, or piggyback what she said, I can see the potential. It's just getting through those seasons and the crickets and just the frustrations and the perseverance. So this was great. I thank you very much.
Good. I'm so glad. And I totally get that because like I've had those moments. I'll say this too. When you feel those, one thing that I've started to do is like realize when I'm starting to feel that way, I try to be even more real and raw in the post and the things that I'm putting out there. And a lot of times what people say, it's engagement, it helps the engagement, and it makes it kind of is a reminder from the Lord of like, okay, this is where you're supposed to be. And so even just sometimes like it can be hard to do that, but I think that it reminds yourself of like why you're doing it. You know, when you see people's comments and when, you know, they're like, oh, thank you so much for sharing your heart. And you're like, oh, that was so encouraging, you know, like, so just reminding you of that because that helps me whenever I'm going through those things. So, but I'm glad it was helpful.
I really do think that fueling everything into your story and your social media is the key. Like last week when God convicted me hard about like genuinely my issue with putting too much hope in money a lot of the time, I ended up going live because I was like, let me just be super frank about being an entrepreneur. This is one of the biggest reasons why God is holding back success because I get lost in this one area. And I just had to talk about it. And that post ended up blowing up. And I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting how many people who aren't necessarily entrepreneurs, but could totally relate to money being often the determining factor of their emotions and how they feel and if they feel secure or whatever. And that was not comfortable for me because nobody wants to talk about money. But yeah, so let it fuel your posts and create your story around it. Even if you're working full time, saying like, why did you sign up in the first place and why you're going to persevere. I really feel like we should all write that word somewhere. This is going to be our word, you know, but I don't want to forget that word. Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely.
All right, team. I'm guessing that's it. But y'all know, Fit for Her Glory. You can always message Caroline anytime.
Yeah, totally.
Her brain. She's also on Team Iron. But I seriously appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your heart and being super honest. I think something I can always do better is just like sharing my own struggles as a coach. Like I love that you do that with your team because sometimes you're like, I have to stay strong.
Yeah.
But, like, we
We'll
still
go
struggle
together.
just as much. No matter how long you've been doing it, there's still struggles. So I appreciate your honesty and your realness.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for letting me be on.
We love you. Have a good night, everybody.
You too.